So welcome to the MOGL podcast. I'm Tim Bryson, Director of Athlete Education and Compliance, and I'm the host of our show. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning community member, welcome back. As y'all know, the MOGL podcast is dedicated to educating all NIL athletes and brands on how to ensure compliance, how to maximize NIL activity, and how to make a difference in the ever-evolving NIL landscape. Today we're on the campus, the College of the Holy Cross. I'm getting to spend time with athletes, coaches, staff members, etc., sharing more about the MOGL Holy Cross partnership, as well as how we can continue to evolve this partnership to be the leader in the college sport and higher education space. This conversation, we have the one, the only, Kit Hughes, to share more about our partnership, but also a candid conversation about NIL. Kit, welcome to the podcast.
No, thanks. Great to be here.
I appreciate it, Kit. Kit, let me tell you something, man. They had me stop talking before we started recording, but I remember, I'm pretty active on social media.
Okay.
And I remember when your hiring got announced on Twitter, and everyone just went like wild, retweeting, quote tweeting, liking it. And I did not think it would be, almost a year and a half later, we get to have a conversation about NIL on your campus, bro. So I appreciate you inviting us to campus.
It's great to have you here. We've been looking forward to this visit for a long time, and putting together a day and, our staff and, led by Zach Leach, kind of putting together a process that we could get as many of our kids exposed to and educated on MOGL and kind of what the opportunities are and continue our process of educating them on name, image, and likeness opportunities. We've been looking forward to this, so it's great to be here.
We appreciate it. And so let's start this podcast with segment one, talking about storytelling.
Sure.
And of course, one can look at your bio online or your LinkedIn, et cetera, and get a better understanding of who you are. But I actually want to flip it a little bit and really start with why Holy Cross, right? Like you were someone who was an experienced athletics administrator, former college athlete, et cetera. But this place is special as we are finding out, being on campus. But in your words, like what made Holy Cross the yes decision for you to come be the director of athletics?
So, I think the thing that excited me the most is it's an opportunity, and I've said this before, is that I truly felt that it was a place where you could pursue a true, real, robust student-athlete experience. Right? People talk a lot about the student-athlete experience, and I think sometimes it's only about certain carve-outs of what that experience is. Here we have an opportunity to have a complete student-athlete experience. So whether you're talking about, these are multi-dimensional lives these young people have, and we're talking about the relationships they have, their academic pursuits, what they're doing in the community, who they are as members of families and teams, their friendships, all these different things. It's the big picture of who they are as people. And to be at a school that really is about formation and education of the total person, that just aligns so much with who I am and why I am involved in college athletics, why I'm passionate about this work, is supporting these students not just in one or two areas of their lives, but in all areas of their lives. And so I always felt that Holy Cross was the type of institution that was perfectly set up to do that, and has been doing it for an awfully long time. And so I've had I had Holy Cross on the top of my list for a very long time, and I was excited when the timing was such that I was at the top of theirs as well. And so when that lined up, it was something I was just thrilled to be able to accept and take on and jump right into the challenge, and haven't looked back since.
The athletes love you here.
Oh,
they definitely love you. But let me ask you this: have you always wanted to be an AD?
I mean, it evolves over time, right? And I think getting started in college athletics and the athletic director is the job, and so if you're going to kind of aspire to something, for a lot of people, that's what they aspire to, without even fully understanding what that means. My career has been a lot about kind of doing, learning through those experiences, and then reevaluating where I was and what I was doing, and is that truly what I want, right? And trying to do that regular reflection on, okay, this is the work I'm doing. This is what I'm learning about what that job actually is, the reality of the job. Do I still want that? And at each step, it was yes, I do. But that was a process, and I would kind of go through that process from a position where I didn't take for granted that the answer would always be yes, but it was. And the more that I would learn about it, and I was fortunate to be around some incredible role models as in the athletic director position, and people I learned from. I learned great things from. I learned things that maybe I wouldn't take with me, and you kind of put together what your approach would be. I had great role models for that, and I had people who allowed me to be side by side with them during difficult, challenging situations. So I had learned by being in the room or a part of the conversation or be a part of the decision-making process to get to the point where by the time I got here, I was able to feel incredibly well prepared for what we're doing. And what we're doing is serving student athletes.
Most definitely.
And so that's kind of what I'm about, and that's what I've sought to do. And I think we're off to a great start.
I see it. What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions about your role as the athletic director?
Oh, man. There's a few. I mean, even from down to you get asked the question. We all get asked the question, right? We just had spring break, and I'm out in the business community and talking to folks. They're saying, "Well, what do you do for spring break? You get that off, right?" And I say, "Not so much.
Yeah.
How about your summers? Do you just take the summers off?" No, we don't do that either, right? Mm-hmm. Those are some of our busiest times, and so I think the cycle of the work. Yeah. People don't fully understand how the level of commitment that our staff has to serve our student athletes 365, right? And this is, a nights and weekends business. It's irregular hours. It's putting in time after hours. We might try to keep regular routines, but our student athletes might require assistance at times when we don't anticipate. And so, being able to kind of balance that and still carve out time for yourself and recharge your own battery so that you're kind of fresh and able to serve the best of your abilities. So kind of the rhythm and the routine of the work, it doesn't necessarily follow the academic calendar, so it's quite a bit different there. There are a few, but that's one that comes to mind first.
I love that. How are you taking care of yourself right now?
It's a great question. Honestly, not very well. Right? But I am always cognizant of the times where I need to, kind of recharge a little bit and try to put that time in. I say to my coaches all the time, the best gift they can give to their students is a healthy head coach, right? A head coach who's getting enough sleep and taking that time, and if they, have a family, spending time with that family to make sure that they're fully charged and ready to be fully present with their student athletes. And so I can't really say that and not do it myself, right? So it's a lot of work. At times I do better than others, frankly.
It's honest, yeah.
It's after just going through a search and hiring a new head men's basketball coach, I could say, sleep and time to myself has not been necessarily available.
Yes.
But I'll play catch up here shortly.
I'm right with you, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm right. That in fitness for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I want to transition to segment 2, right? Really focus on NIL conversation.
Sure.
And I asked intentionally about a misconception because I think another misconception of ADs is that they're not always receptive to feedback from athletes, right? May not be paying attention to trends in college sports space. But you and Holy Cross have really taken NIL in, right? Instead of pushing it away, have embraced it as an additional added value to the college athlete experience. Why was that important for you to prioritize that in your role as AD?
Well, I think what I said earlier about the kind of being there to support them in all the different dimensions of their lives, this is part of it, right? This is a reality of college athletics. This is something that's going on and frankly was overdue for a long time.
Very true.
The student athlete's ability to leverage their name, image, and likeness and their own kind of personal brand and their own personal business pursuits that can stem from their role or their achievements through athletics. This is something that we've needed for quite a long time, and now that we have it, it's all right. How do we make sure that we're setting up our student athletes to operate in this space as safely as possible with regard to their eligibility, with the greatest knowledge possible, so that they understand exactly what it is, what the opportunity is, and how to approach it, and as efficiently as possible, because we already know about the demands on their time.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
There's the demands on the time academically. There's the demands on the time to be the best student they can be, to be the best athlete they can be, to be the best friend, son or daughter, partner in a relationship, whatever that looks like, but also to do something like this. So it's a serious time commitment for people who don't have an awful lot of time. How do we set it up as efficiently as we can? And that's where a partnership like this is just so critically important, because it helps with all of those things.
That's good. Efficiency. I never heard that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think the one that should be talked about a lot more, honestly. But as you're evaluating different partners in this space, right, understanding that there's a lot of people doing this work in their own way, like what made MOGL the premier choice to say, yes, we're rolling with MOGL, here is why, athletes, we're all on board, because what they're doing is what we need at Holy Cross to continue to advance and be the leaders moving forward.
Yeah, so I think it's first off, a first-class brand with a great reputation, right? And in terms of us partnering with anybody, we want to align with people who, have similar whether from a value standpoint or a support standpoint, or kind of about the things that we think are the right things, and that's really kind of the education, the empowerment, the efficiency.
Agreed.
That's something that's important right from the beginning in terms of how people do business. But it also, MOGL's as a company is somebody that was bringing to the table everything that we were looking for in a way that made sense for us, right? We evaluate a lot of different partnership opportunities on a regular basis, a lot of great ones, right? But that you don't go with everybody. And so it's got to, as we sit down and we say, okay, what exactly are we looking for? And we come up with specific criteria, evaluating people based on that criteria and being consistent with it, being able to say, yeah, MOGL can do this, and they can do it at a really high level for our kids. That's kind of how you go through the decision-making process, and we've been really excited about the partnership.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to hear that, and glad to be here, Kit. So as you think about NIL, right? Because we've seen it. You mentioned it's long overdue, and I would agree with that. But as we've seen it evolve now over the last year and a half or so, again, there's been a huge priority, particularly in the media, on the Power 5 schools, right? The Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Miamis, et cetera. But there's a special place for the Patriot League and specifically Holy Cross athletes in the NIL space. What makes Holy Cross athletes so appealing to organizations and brands who want to partner in this NIL era?
Yeah, so I think we have kids. First off, a lot of this is about influence, right? And you don't necessarily need to be a Power 5 student athlete to have tremendous influence.
Agreed.
Okay, influence on your campus, influence in your community. These are incredible leaders, right? And they're people who've achieved at a really high level in the classroom and in competition for an awfully long time.
Agreed.
Okay, these are the next leaders of. These are literally the leaders of tomorrow in every space. And we have incredibly accomplished alumni, students who go to a school like Holy Cross or go to a school in the Patriot League who are going to go and they're going to make a significant impact on the world. And so not just what does their brand look like today when they're partnering with people, but what does their brand look like tomorrow when they're not here anymore? What does it look like 10 years from now? And in terms of being proud to have partnered with somebody, that's not a one-time thing. That's something that has a ripple that can last for a long, long time. And so our kids, they're going to go out and they're going to do great things, impact their communities, give back to other people, and then achieve incredible success because that's what our kids have done for a very long time. They're the kind of brand that I think potential partners can be excited about today, but then also as importantly tomorrow. And we educate our kids on the exact same thing in the other direction, right? It's not just about this deal you're going to do right now. What is this partnership going to mean to you to be able to look back on in 5-10 years? Where's this brand going to be then, right? And let's have a little bit of a longer term vision, a little bit big picture thought about who we're interacting with.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's an important piece.
So I guess where do you also see it evolving then? Where do you see NIL evolving for the non-Power 5 Division I institutions in particular?
It's, right now, and I talk to people, people kind of lump everything into NIL, right? So, they collectives and some of the things that are going on that aren't going on, that are not going on here, as well as kind of the real marketing, branding opportunities, traditional name, image, and likeness opportunities, and traditional over the last year plus, but kind of what we've typically thought of as those things. As it evolves, I try to be aware enough to know that predicting the future in this space is not something that I think is a good idea because I think it's going to change tremendously as we move forward. But I do think that the best area for us to focus on is in that space of what would be considered true name and image likeness marketing, business marketing opportunities with students. And whether that involves specific for-profit businesses, whether that's getting involved from a nonprofit standpoint and the service elements, I think that's something that on this campus we're really excited to see how that develops and opportunities that come from that area, from the nonprofit sector. And so we can go out and support those groups, which are so authentically Holy Cross in this place and natural for our students. I'm excited to see how that evolves a little bit. But I think what's going to happen more than anything is more of our kids are going to learn how to operate in the space.
That's good.
In a way that makes sense for them. Exactly what we're doing here, educating kids today, getting them involved, getting them signed up and learning how to take, leverage and take full advantage of the MOGL platform and the business opportunities around them. Their knowledge base is going to increase exponentially over time, where they're going to walk in the door and they're going to have a different level of expectations next year than they had this year, and then the year after that, and the year after that. And that kind of evolution almost on the student side is something I think that's going to accelerate change in the NIL space.
Yep.
Like most things, we learn a ton from them.
No, for sure.
Right.
I mean, I think that's something that we pride ourselves at MOGL, right? Is looking at NIL not just in a vacuum, but the intersection of career development, leadership education, identity development. So to your point, they're seeing how NIL is a value add to their entire experience that they're at in the classroom, in competition, et cetera. And they can be engaged alumni when they graduate, right? I think that's a huge part of not just a higher education mission, but even a departmental mission as well.
Yeah, for sure. And we want to make sure that we never lose sight of the primary purpose of why we're here and what we're doing, right? And it's for these kids to have access to leverage their athletic abilities to get a world-class education, right? And set themselves up on a path for success for the rest of their life, which can be completely transformational for them. That's the primary area of why we're here. And as we're here doing those things and teaching the life lessons that come from playing sports and the experiential learning environment that athletics creates, making sure that they are aware of all of these opportunities that are around them. In a lot of ways, I think of their career development piece you just mentioned as the longer term name, image, and likeness space, right?
It's right
and
there,
so there's the marketing agreements as they're an undergrad, which is only a finite short period of time as a near term goal is to operate in that space. But the long term goal is to set yourself up to take real advantage of your NIL through your next career, your next business opportunities coming out. And certainly the entrepreneurial nature of NIL is fantastic for our kids because they can learn how to be a business in and of themselves.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then those are lessons that they're going to take into the business world and use them to absolutely dominate in whatever field that they choose.
Agreed. A lot of finance econ majors here.
There are.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, we do.
It's not my gift nor lane or at all.
We're a liberal arts school, but we have an awful lot of people who find a lot of success in the business world.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I just learned Worcester's the second largest city in the New England region.
It is.
Which
fastest growing city.
And the fastest growing. What makes it so special?
I just think Worcester is kind of been on the come up for quite a while, but it's just a vibrant city. There's a lot of excitement going on. We're kind of all experiencing this moment in time in Worcester with the Worcester Red Sox coming to town, moving from Pawtucket to Worcester, choosing this city as the place to build as their brand new home because of the opportunities that are going on. The life sciences are exploding here, but businesses are moving from closer to the eastern coastal Massachusetts near Boston. They're coming out to central Mass. It's a great life here. We have access, relatively close access to lakes, the beach, mountains for skiing. So the lifestyle's fantastic. And there are businesses coming out to take advantage of that. We see a big part of our role as being able to expose people to our event, through our events, expose people to all the exciting things going on in central Massachusetts. And so we can play a really critical role in community development. And fortunately, we have a lot of partners who believe in that as well, and they've gotten involved with us, and I think they'll then continue to get involved with us and potentially get involved with some of our students because they see the opportunity that exists and the attention and the excitement that gets generated through our Division I sports program. I
agree. Well, I don't know who runs this decision-making process, but whoever runs the Worcester Regional Airport, y'all need more gates. Y'all gonna need more gates very soon because 5 or 6 is not gonna cut it if y'all fast growing like that.
I love the Worcester Regional Airport.
It's easy.
It is so convenient. They have good flights. You can get where you need to go. And it reminds me of when I first moved down to North Carolina. Raleigh-Durham International Airport, where you can roll on property, and you maybe don't need 2 full hours before a flight, right? And so time's at a premium.
No, I love it.
Yeah, the convenience is great.
One of the last questions for you, right? I mean, you have the mic talking to businesses in the Worcester area. Why should they partner with Holy Cross Athletes?
Yeah, I think, what I was saying earlier is exactly why they should partner with them. When you look at kids, they are the perfect role models for what college sports should be about, right? They are incredible role models for our young people. Our kids are in the community, serving others in the schools, giving back, involved deeply in the Working for Worcester program. It was created by Holy Cross student athletes. A member of our men's ice hockey team created that program, which has sustained itself and now is a massive event in the city giving back to the community. We're heavily involved in things like Team Impact, which is an incredible organization, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Mass. Our kids are hands-on in that world giving back while having some of the highest graduation rates in the entire country. Division I, the entire country, not Division I small school, all schools, some of the highest graduation rates in the country. Out there winning games, winning championships, representing the school in a first-class manner, and certainly then translating that into representing their brand in a first-class manner. And I think it's a track record that suggests that our student athletes and what they're about is a brand that can be trusted. And I think that's what everybody's looking for, is a high level of trust to be able to say, you know what, that I'm going to be able to put, I'm going to put my support, or I'm going to get involved with this individual because I trust the fact that their brand's going to be strong today and it's going to be strong tomorrow.
I love that, kid. Last few questions for you. Favorite restaurant in the Worcester area?
Oh my goodness. I haven't gone out too much, but if I want, chicken parm, I'm going to Piccolo's. If I want a pizza, Volturno's is pretty darn good, and it's fast, which I like.
Yeah, me too.
Shrewsbury Street is loaded with good restaurants, so I appreciate that, including a good steakhouse. 111 Chop House, pretty good place to get a piece of meat.
I love that. I asked Zach this question earlier, but you get 12 months, right? You don't have to work for 12 months. All you do is train for either the Winter and or Summer Olympics. I'll give you a choice. Zach didn't have a choice. Which sport would you medal in if you train for 12 months straight? You choose winter or summer, doesn't matter.
Oh man, my mind immediately goes to curling because I played hockey, so I'm comfortable on ice, and it doesn't require incredible endurance or anything like that. 12 months. I think I've always thought that the biathlon was pretty cool, right? So cross country, shooting targets. Train long enough, I might be able to, make it through a course. I don't know about medal. I don't think I could. I don't think I could medal in anything these days. But I've always been a big Winter Olympics person. Okay. So I would choose winter. I'd have to figure that out. Maybe bobsled. But not the front person who drives, like the person in the middle or the person in the back. I think I could push that bobsled and jump in and duck my head and then hold on for dear life. And
that's love.
If I got a good driver and the right sled, we could win.
That's love.
We're going bobsled.
You and I?
I'm going straight bobsled. You're invited too.
Bring Zach too. Zach can be in the back.
He can drive. I trust Zach to drive.
Mountains or beach?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough. I'm going to say beach, but that's a tough question for me.
Favorite beach?
Oof.
Choose wisely.
Favorite beach, I'm going to say Hawks Nest Beach, St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands.
Dope. Yeah. Great choice.
Yeah.
Last question for you. Favorite movie of all time?
Can I say two?
You can say two.
Okay. Normally, my immediate go-to is Jaws. I love
Favorite
Jaws.
movie?
Oh yeah.
Of all time?
I've watched it over 100 times.
Wow.
You grow up in New England, you're going to the Cape and Martha's Vineyard, and Jaws. Love it. It's one of my favorites. Favorite animal, favorite movie. And then a wild departure from that, Greatest Showman. Love Hugh Jackman. Great music. Musical theater, interestingly, is something I've always really enjoyed, and I think that movie's pretty awesome.
Got it. All right, I lied. It's the last question for real. And the athletes will thank me for this. Your go-to karaoke song? What can we see Kit singing? Or rapping?
Well, I'm scared to say this because then people are going to
ask you to do it.
Create a situation that allows me to do it, and I'm going to get called out on it. But knowing that, I got to go. Probably Journey. Don't Stop Believing, or Poison, Motley Crue. I'm a big '80s rock guy. I enjoy that a lot. '80s rock, '90s rap. That's kind of where I would, kind of live within that area. That's when I was my formative years, right? 80s and 90s. I had an older sister who was 7 years older than me and big into, hair bands and 80s rock. And so that rubbed off on me pretty significantly.
I love that. Yeah. Well, I'll let them know, don't make Kit sing that song unless I'm here with you. I'll do it.
Well, then what's yours?
Oh, I got two.
Okay.
The one would be Buy Me a Boat.
Okay.
It's a country song. Couldn't tell you who sings it. And the second would probably be something about Drake. I'm gonna say Say Hotline Bling.
Okay.
I do Hotline Bling.
Yeah.
Put me on the spot. You can't do that.
That's pretty
I'm
good,
the
though. We
host. You
pair
can't.
those songs together. That's not a bad playlist.
Might
I
be
think
a
people
concert.
would enjoy it.
Maybe a concert.
Yeah, okay.
We'll hit up the Chop House. Maybe host it there.
There we go. Now we're talking.
But kid, I appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
Look forward to coming back to campus very soon.
No doubt. Always welcome.
Appreciate you.
Thanks so much.